It's not that I'm bored. It's just a bit weird calling myself Steve-O. That's what you guys call me. I don't call me that. Actually, what do I call me? Me. Me.
Yeah.
I could say that.
So just open up saying, and I'm me.
And I am me. That works.
Oh, God.
All
right, so we'll keep calling you Steve-O, but you call yourself whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, it's just easier that way.
Okay, I'll just freestyle. Week to week. We'll see what happens.
Your Twitter handle says Steve-O, your email... All right.
I'll call myself Steve-O.
People will figure it out. It's not that much of a stretch.
I'll be good.
It's not that much of a stretch. It's not like we're calling you Phil and there's a story behind it.
And I'm Phil.
Could be a running joke, just a different name for Steve-O every week.
I won't get confusing at all.
And welcome to episode 5 of Rather Be Playing, the podcast where we talk about how we'd rather be playing games than
time traveling a month into the past.
I'm Josh.
I'm Elliot.
And I'm Steve-O.
He got it. He's got it.
Oh, Elliot, what the hell are you talking about?
So let's see if I've got this right. We're recording this. So at the time of recording this, we only have the first 2 episodes up. So we're doing this much, much earlier than it's airing because it should be airing July 11th, mid-July sometime.
Makes sense.
And it just worked out this way because E3 is coming up and we don't want to have, how do you say that? Like, so many things are going to change when E3 comes out in the next couple days here. And we want to have an episode that we can just kind of put after all this. Because as I mentioned before, Josh and I are going to be out of town. So we're recording many episodes together.
Out of the country.
Out of the,
out of the continent? Out of the hemisphere?
Yes. We're going to Japan and South Korea. And so, yeah. So we're it just worked out. I don't even remember. Like, I'm trying to make sense of it logically right now, but somehow
this is the problem with time travel, Elliot. It always gets too complicated. Don't blame yourself.
There's a plot hole in here somewhere that just doesn't work.
Basically, we're banking a few episodes so that when we're gone, we'll have one that's ready to go up during our normal schedule. So,
but we're banking more than just this one. But this is the one we decided to go at the very end of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it needs to be timeless.
Yeah. So
hello from the past. Hello from the past.
Yes. Hopefully the world is still there. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Hopefully E3 was a great time.
Oh no, E3 was amazing.
Yeah. Oh yes. Let's keep that seamless. We should be halfway through games that we don't even know we should be playing yet because we haven't done the roulette here, but we've done it there.
There in the future.
There are you people in the future 1 month from now.
Guys, I'm concerned because I've got this black and white photo of you two and you're starting to like fade out, fade away in it. It's kind of disconcerting.
Yes, I broke up Josh's parents in the past. He's not.
Not again, Elliot.
Steve, is that your grandmother in the bed behind you?
What the hell are you talking about?
Is that a Futurama reference?
Yes, it was.
Missed it.
Went back in time and became his own grandfather.
Oh, yeah. That was a great episode.
All right, guys. So since we don't really have our backlog games and stuff, we decided we have some stuff just in general we kind of want to discuss. I know a few episodes back we talked about the news that was happening, and this time it's really more of a just kind of general discussion, and we wanted to see where it would take us. I know one of the things we were talking about is considering this show is really revolved primarily around us going through our backlogs. There's always the constant threat that, something new's coming out. And again, E3 just happened and it was great. But
all those games, you remember all the announcements that they said,
I know.
This is on the PSN store right now.
I know.
Those are great. I can't.
Instant announcements. Final Fantasy XVIII is coming out before 17.
I know. But so there's always new games that are on the horizon that we're going to be talking about, or that we're going to be looking at.
Oh no, was that a pun? Was that a pun already, Josh? God. Dear Lord.
That was not that was honestly not intentional, but yeah, that works.
He's reading from his notes.
No, so
he's not that good at this.
So basically, actually, it's not on my notes. I'll show you a picture later. But with all new games that keep coming out, there's always the threat that we're going to be putting them back and making our backlog even bigger. So we want to say what sort of games are coming out that or have already recently released that you want to get that will probably just add to your backlog instead of actually solving this problem.
Oh, that you want to get. I should.
Well, if you've already got it,
Elliot, got one.
It's the eternal struggle, isn't it?
It's
true. We see something new coming out or has just come out, and we're like, "Oh, I've got so many games on the backlog," but
or there's a game you've wanted for a while, and then this the good old games had a sale recently, and you're like, "Oh, it's on sale! Now I can get it," sort of thing. So
that's the eternal problem of every gamer is the Steam sale, the dawn sale, the summer sales, the winter sales.
Yep.
Because why wouldn't you buy it for $5?
And the complete lack of self-control. Yeah, those problems.
The worst part was like 5 games in a row at the start of the year. It was like Nier Automata or Automata. I don't know how
Automata. Yeah,
you really say it. Persona 5 came out. It was right around when Zelda came out.
Yep. Horizon.
Neo.
Was there one more?
Was there?
Neo was there too, yeah. Neo. So and Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
It was like 6 games within a month or within 6 weeks or something like that. And I was like, what do you do? Like, what is this? November? What the hell is happening?
Yeah, the first part of 2017 was insane.
Yep, so true. How many of those that you just named then, Elliot, would you consider to be on this list?
Actually, of those, I've only played 1, and then the rest are probably on the list.
Which one have you played? How many did you pick up?
Did we mention Persona 5 just now?
No.
So that's 7?
I mean, we did in the list, yeah.
Persona 5 is on my list.
I still got to send that to you. My fault.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I think we already mentioned on the podcast, didn't we, that Josh has already platinumed that? He did it in about a week, did you say?
Platinum Nier Automata too.
That's seriously? Wow. Fair play.
Though, to be fair, that's not that hard to do.
No, is it not that long? Because you said the first one, Nier on PS3, it was pretty long, wasn't it?
So in Nier Automata, in order to platinum the game, I mean, there's a lot of little annoying, tedious things you could do to do it. But once you beat the game, there's a little vendor you can go talk to and basically buy trophies. So for the last,
about this,
like the last 3 or 4, like I didn't want to go catch 20 different kinds of fish or whatever. Just the little tedious things. I was just like, you know what? Forget it.
Weak sauce,
you can
dude.
Buy trophies
for not real money, in-game money. So it wasn't like I paid money to do it. It was I had a ton of money in the game, and you could just
shit, though. That just defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah,
I know. Well, I mean,
why would you? Why? I'm not.
Do you know who directed the game?
No,
Yoko Taro. It's the Nier guy is like absolutely insane and the weirdest way. And even the person you talk to that sells you these things is wearing the helmet or the email mask that he wears all the time. So
it's just so cheap. Like, why would programmers even put that in there? Like,
it kind of
cheapens the whole thing.
Sets a dangerous precedent because
I feel like you guys are missing context here. Like, so there's in the first game, or in the first Nier game rather, there's like a ton of side quests. Like the entire time you're doing the side quests, your little floating book dude that's around you is telling you, this is stupid. You shouldn't be doing this. Like this, he's basically telling you this is dumb. You should go back to just playing the main story. The game trolls you, and so does Nier Automata at many, many different points. So this is not out of context for this to happen.
Yeah, no, let's say it loud. No spoilers, Josh. But yeah, no, Automata is definitely one that I want to play. I've heard there's so many different story endings, and in terms of the gameplay, because I played the demo, was pretty brilliant. The mix of third person action and bullet hell shooter is unlike anything I've ever played before anyway. And I was definitely, it's one that I'm going to pick up when I get the chance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And Neo as well. I always forget about Neo, but that was...
Oh, Neo. Sorry. When you said Neo earlier, I was thinking NEO, and I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Okay, yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
I played the demo of that, the one that came out. I don't know. I was not feeling it.
Yeah, I did the same. I enjoyed the combat a little bit, but I was like, I would just rather play the Soul series in a way, And then both of them seem like such an investment. I'm sure you're talking 60, 80 hours to complete. So I'm not sure I'd be too fussed on picking up Neo, but there's definitely others there that are going to cause my backlog trouble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I did want to go back and play Horizon. It looked a lot of fun. I didn't play. I don't even think there wasn't a demo or anything, was it?
No, I don't think so.
But it did look a lot of fun, and I've heard a lot of great things about it.
I'm worried after playing Zelda, I won't be able to play Horizon.
Well, yeah, it's 2 open world games after another is probably not.
They're so similar, and Zelda is the greatest game ever made, and Horizon, as great as it is, isn't.
Yeah,
and it's not fair for me to say I haven't played it, but I feel like it's like going from Uncharted 2 to Uncharted 3, like still good, like we were talking about, Steve-O, but not quite as good, and so you're just like, okay, that was fine.
I actually picked up Horizon because I was itching for a AAA game, just when it came out. And
I forgot you got that. Yeah.
Yeah, I played a bit of the story. It was pretty interesting. It's kind of giant robotic dinosaurs in the very far future after the apocalypse kind of thing.
Right.
So it had a good hook, and the controls were as polished as any PS4 third-person game. They were as good as Uncharted or any one of those. And
I haven't heard many bad things about the game. I mean, combat's supposed to be a lot of fun. The world is beautiful. The main character is supposed to be pretty interesting. So, I mean,
but Elliot hit the nail on the head. Once I played Zelda, it just wasn't Zelda. And now I'm not sure if I can ever go back to Horizon. I'm sure I will at some point.
I'll have to bite the bullet since I'm not tainted by Zelda.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing. You want to be tainted.
It is.
It won't measure up to Link to the Past, I'm sure. So, still the best Zelda game.
Considering they're the only 2 Zelda games I've ever played and beaten them both, I can categorically say that Breath of the Wild is a better game for the modern generation.
Yeah, as well as Link to the Past holds up. Breath of the Wild is just something else.
It's inspired. It really, I know it's cliche and whatever.
Buy me a Switch and I'll play it.
it like wandering through it and the sights that you see, you're just constantly, your breath is taken away. Like it is fantastic.
Your Breath of the Wild.
Oh, no.
Taken away.
No, I wouldn't.
Jesus Christ. Why do I even let you speak?
No, I wouldn't.
So what else? Josh, you were talking about Persona 5, which you blitzed through. It's definitely one that I have to get to, but I still haven't beaten Persona 4, which is notoriously one of the longest games ever made. And
5's pretty long. It took me 104 hours to finish.
Oh, God.
Just to finish?
Yep.
Not even the platinum.
I mean, I take my time, and I've fused a lot of personas and stuff like that, so it's not like I've known some people that could have beaten it in like 70 something. So it's not. I'm not necessarily saying I'm out of the ordinary. I think it's probably pretty average for what I did, but it's I didn't really speed through it, if you will. I sped through it over like a period of time, but not in-game time.
See, this definitely gives me pause. When I hear Josh took 100 hours of the game, I think myself and Elliot could take several lifetimes. This may not be possible.
I've played 80 hours of Zelda, and it feels like a game that I've been playing for years, and it's just kept giving and giving, and it just keeps going and going and going. And I look, and it's 80 hours, and Josh has that beat by almost 30 hours just to get to the end of Persona. Like, I finished Zelda hours ago. I'm just having fun with it, because it's the kind of game you can do that.
Yeah.
And so like putting it in that Zelda frame of reference, it's impossible.
But it was fun like the entire way through. Like Persona 4 is great, and so is, and I really like Persona 3 as well, but 5, so many improvements on so many things. It's just, and you guys have seen all the stuff. Like when the first game was like first announced and stuff, and I showed you the gifs of the menus. You know, I was like, oh my God, this is so stylish looking. It's amazing. And the entire game just has that. It's not even just that.
Yeah, it is another level of design. It's striking. It's beautiful. I'm definitely gonna play a bit of it. I just worry that as I get older and I have more things, to do, I don't have time to play a game that's this long. And one of the other things that I noticed about it when I started playing just the first few hours was there's quite a bit of reading in it. And well, no, let me finish the thought. So Zelda, there's no reading whatsoever.
Yeah,
so everything
contextual.
It is just self-explanatory. Everything is natural, and you just understand things just by glancing at them. Whereas I don't know if I can now go back to games which require you to sit and read through a page full of text before you move on to, the next thing in the room that you can pick up.
So most of Persona 5 is voice acted. It has text, but most of it is voice acted. So, and also Zelda's not trying to tell you anything that's complicated by any stretch of the imagination. It is literally, the princess has been kidnapped. Go find these pendants. Go find these other maidens.
But it makes me wonder, Josh, are those the games that I should be playing?
I'm just,
So let me talk about another one that I'm afraid is going to interrupt my backlog, because I just played the demo of it. Prey. It's such an interesting game. It starts out, the story is intriguing. The characters are really interesting, and it kind of grabbed me immediately. It's also really atmospheric. The music fits really well with everything. It gets you tense when you know that the enemies are going to be nearby, and the enemies, I can only imagine Elliot would absolutely despise them. They're these little creepy crawly mimics which can change into anything. So you could be, rummaging around a room, and a coffee cup will turn into one of these things, and it'll let out this hideous shriek and jump at you, basically like a face sucker or something out of Alien. And it never ceases to scare the shit out of me. Like it is so good at what it does.
That reminds me, is System Shock 2 in your backlog?
I am halfway through System Shock 2. So yes. Okay. Yeah, it is.
Because Prey reminds me a lot of that.
Sounds like you saved me $60 there, Steve-O.
No, just try the demo, Elliot. Please play it on Twitch. Please, we'll help you. We'll be your cheerleaders again. It'll be so good.
The idea of like it's what I just said. Wait, not the last episode. 3 episodes ago. Episode 3.
Episode 3,
which was just recorded very recently for us. And so fresh in my mind.
Elliot, first rule of time traveling is do not refer to things in the past or future.
In a previous episode, we talked about so just you were asking me what's so terrifying about Silent Hill versus Resident Evil, and it's that psychological horror of everything seems fine, and then you turn around and then it's not, and it should still be fine, but because of the supernatural rules of this game world, which you don't completely understand, you're blindsided. Yeah. And that it sounds like that's close to that, maybe somewhere in between this traditional horror and the psychological, or at least it would play on my mind in a similar way.
Definitely. Well, is it a feeling of impending doom that really gets to you, or
so that it's
more the jump scares though, isn't it?
It's the jump scares. So the jump scares are quick. The Silent Hill ones are kind of like a slow build into what like, is coming for a long time.
It's like this oppressive environment that you're trying to navigate.
It's very oppressive. Yes, that's a great word for it.
Elliot, it's just so funny that you have such absolute utter hatred and fear of this game that you've never played. It cracks me up.
I've played maybe half of Silent Hill. I actually have given it a shot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's still terrible.
Well, so, what were we talking about? Prey. So the thing about Prey was it has audio logs as you're going through, which are really well done. You can one of the best things about the original BioShock was that if you press play on an audio log, you could continue about the game, continue playing, and it would keep playing. You could listen to the audio log while you went around it. So Prey does exactly the same thing, but there's a lot of interacting with computers and listen and reading emails. So it slows down quite a bit when you're having to read through 3, 4, 5 emails.
That sounds like a lot of reading, Steve. I'm not sure I want to play that.
But this is what I'm getting at. I'm really enjoying it. And because the characters and the crew of this space station are interesting, I do want to read about it, and I do want to keep track in my head, oh, this person is sending an email to this person, and oh, what's going on there? There's something kind of shady. But I'm not sure how much patience I have for a game where you're standing at a terminal reading for a long time, as opposed to just playing something, again, like Zelda or like any of the NES classic games that I'm playing, where it's just all about gameplay. It's all about
what I'm getting from you is that you need a prescription for Adderall.
Yeah, it could be. And it does seem like it's something that's been later in life, But
no, I get what you're saying.
Later in life, because I'm like 70, by the way, for our listeners, in case you didn't know that.
So the audio logs play over the gameplay, and you're not interrupted. It's like he's listening to a podcast, such as Rather Be Playing.
Is this your moment in the podcast every week where you go, subscribe,
please?
So the other one I'm excited for is Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. I cannot wait for this game. I remember playing Final Fantasy XII way back when it first came out. And honestly, it took me a long time to appreciate it. When I first got it, I was definitely on the side of people who were like, oh, this game just plays itself. This is stupid. Why would you play this? It's like a single person MMO. But like, as you start getting into it and like really thinking about and make the gambits and doing a lot of the more challenging things in the game, it's actually really interesting. So I played through it again much later and really enjoyed it that time. So,
guys, come on. So, when you're talking Final Fantasy, you know what you got to do. Give us the Steve-O breakdown.
All right, so
what the hell are you talking about? Where is it set? Who are the characters, and why should I like it?
So short version story is basically Star Wars. I'm not kidding. Yes. I'm not kidding. It's in a fantasy world, but it's still got the Empire and your ragtag group of scoundrels that goes and challenges them. But what I was really referring to is there's the Zodiac Age adds some stuff to the game that makes the gameplay a little different. So in the original game, you level up your characters using this thing called the license board, and whenever you open up a slot on the license board, then the surrounding ones open up and you can select those, and then the surrounding ones open up from those, yada yada yada, and that's how you level up your characters. In this one, they made it so that each character has a specific job that you could pick. So like this character might be a white mage, this character might be a red mage, this character might be a knight. So they only have specific spots on the license board they can open up, which it requires that you specialize your characters rather than make them all gods. And that was
this is a phrase that you were referring to when you were talking about the 4-job fiesta, 5-job fiesta.
Yeah. So jobs. Well, when I say jobs, they're like
that's just like healer as opposed to
classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you get a monk or a fighter or blue mage, white mage, dragoon, things like
specializations. And yeah.
Talk to me in Diablo terms. so you
Amazon,
mean like a warrior
Paladin.
or
yeah.
Okay.
But and then of course, just because since they're remastering and remaking it, that it's prettier. They've upscaled the resolution.
And what was special about it at the time? Was the story just better than others, or like was it about that gameplay?
The story is okay.
The story is excellent up until the last like 20%.
Yeah, I'd say that's
flies off the rails.
That's always sad.
It's so close, and you can read up about it. There's a lot of internal problems with the development. The director or the writer or something like that left partway through due to like stress, and it was a very long and troublesome development process. And the core game is polished to perfection. It's really good.
Yeah.
The story just like even the story sets up so many great themes, and then at the end it's just like
like there's a character in the game who's he's introduced like twice, and he's like the coolest character in the game, Al Cid, and never shows up again. So like there's definitely some weird things going on with the story and its development, but it's a great game, and I really just focusing on setting up your characters like in the background before you go into battle. It's all about preparation, really.
Yeah,
that's kind of where the
really
interesting part comes in, is being able to do that way rather than constantly just sitting in battle pressing X to attack every time.
And it's a great intro to programming.
Yeah, it actually kind of is.
Like,
what do you mean?
You set up these things called gambits, which are basically like if-then statements. So, and you put them in the order that you want. So you'll say like the first one is, if party member is below 30% HP, cast cure. And if no party member is below 30 HP, it goes down to the next one, which could be, if enemy is weak to fire, cast fire, and then just, you could set up like 12 of those per character, and rearrange them how you like. So you are kind of setting up
really
automatic
specific.
Thing. Yeah. So it's going to be good. I have no issues with it. I don't think there's going to be any major problems, but we'll see.
That's a way to talk about a game you're hyped for.
I'm just waiting for something to disappoint me, but I have high expectations. But so for all these games that you guys are planning on playing coming up, what are you guys going to play on normal difficulty? You going to jack it up, or are you going to drop it down to easy mode, Steve-O?
In general, I at this point, just like the reading thing, I don't like to take games too seriously. I don't like to make things too difficult for myself. So, like when I was younger and just playing first-person shooters and starting to get into the odd RPG, I would have played them on difficult or one of the harder difficulties. But yeah, I just notch things down to medium these days. Play through nicely.
I think it. Go ahead.
Medium. I was gonna say I usually play medium unless like for the Uncharted games I'll start them off on hard, because there's usually if I think long term, and I don't always go for the platinum, but I'm saying if I ever do, you usually want to start on hard so you can unlock crushing, because it's like, I already beat it in normal and I still have to beat it again on hard in order to beat it again on crushing, and it's just too many playthroughs. So like for stuff like that, I'll check out the trophies, and if there's a trophy for beating it on some mode that's only unlocked by playing hard, then I'll start off on hard. And like Uncharted is pretty easy anyway. It's a lot more enjoyable to play on hard, but
I think for the most part it depends on the type of game. Like if it's a game requiring like twitchiness or skill in your ability to move around and handle whatever the heck's going on the screen, then I'll jump that up to hard for the most part. So like The Last of Us, I played on hard mode originally with no listen mode on. Or with listen mode on.
Why?
Because it's a lot more fun. I don't like it's listen mode lets you see where all the enemies are, whereas if you turn it off, you actually have to sit down.
So hard.
You have to sit down and pay attention to where everything is. You got to figure out the routes of everybody. It's a lot more engaging with what you're doing.
Those story based games too, though. Like if it's a cinematic game like The Last of Us or Uncharted, I just said I'll start off Uncharted on hard often, but like other games similar to it, I'll start off on medium just because I want to experience the story without getting frustrated and never finishing it because it's too hard.
Like The Last of Us?
Exactly like The Last of Us. And I did that in medium, and it's much more difficult than Uncharted is.
Yeah, it's very true. I started... actually, I think I played The Last of Us through on hard. So,
God.
Yeah, the first time I played it, but I did have listen mode on. So, I didn't... I kind of cheesed it in a way. I wasn't
a fan. I didn't like. I thought the game was playable well enough and a lot of fun without having that extra knowledge of where enemies are through walls. I feel like it's a lot more fun to just have to figure that out.
I would say the first encounter with clickers and with the guys who run at you, I replayed it and replayed it and replayed it. I did not feel bad about having the listen mode on, Now I go back there and I can do it in one go, and, I probably wouldn't need the listen mode.
I mean, don't get me wrong, listen mode would make it easier. And there were some times where I had to, restart a few encounters a few times to try and get through it, but getting through it at the end was just so satisfying.
Yeah. I guess there is that.
Only in the last couple of years for me have I understood that satisfaction.
Yeah, well, like I'm playing
getting through something hard.
I played through Doom on ultra violence. I mean, that's the hardest difficulty level you could pick at the beginning. I think there's two more after that once you beat the game, but it's not too bad. It's definitely some points that are a little rough, but other than like this one rune trial that drove me crazy, I didn't think it was that bad. Because again, it's all about strafing and jumping and just running and just being aware of your surroundings, which is all stuff you could do. Whereas opposed to like, say, an RPG, the difficulty doesn't come from your ability to dodge or something. It comes from, that enemy now has twice as much HP and does twice as much damage. And
sure, but the difference between Doom and The Last of Us is I'm playing The Last of Us for the story. I want to get through this, not for the satisfaction of saying, I played that really difficult mode, that difficult part on a difficult high difficulty level, and that's my satisfaction. No, that's not in The Last of Us. It's the cutscene that you get, and then the story that you're learning, the story that you're hearing, and learning about the characters. That's the satisfaction. So I'm happy to play it through on. That's
why some RPGs too. Like actually, Persona 5 has a what do they call it? Safety mode or something. It's the easiest level where you still get into fights and stuff, but you can restart fights indefinitely. You don't have to go back to save points if you die, and I think it might have the same difficulty stuff as easy mode does. It just has those extra things in there about saving and things like that.
That's a really good idea.
So it's not hard, and you can basically just play through. I mean, you probably still could die, but you can restart. But you're basically playing through to get through the story. I played Persona 5 on hard, which I normally don't do for RPGs, but I just took a gamble, and I'm actually really glad I did, because there was actually some challenge in the beginning of the game. And honestly, by the end of the game, I was so overpowered that I wasn't really running into many issues. The last boss had some things that, hurt me, and I came pretty close to losing to him, but I won. But the thing with Persona 5 is it gives you so many options at your disposal to survive. Like the one of the things that happens is, so in Persona 4 and 3, when you leveled up your social links, in Persona 5, they're called confidants. But in your social links, they help you with your Persona fusion. And then in Persona 4 Golden, they added some extra things where like your character can save you from death if you do it with like a team member. But like in Persona 5, there's so many things. Like every social link has something that adds to battle. Like there's even one, if you max it out, it will save you from an instant kill in battle or any kill.
Would you say it's easier than the previous Personas?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's still a good idea. It's still a lot of fun, but there's considering how many things you can get through your social links and all that, and things like the baton pass system, which lets you change to another character mid-turn. There's just, if you die, it's because you got, SMT'd by something that just, you got back attacked and something insta killed you, or you weren't really paying attention. There's just there's so many options at your disposal. Now, I will not do that for all RPGs. I played Digital Devil Saga 2 on hard, and I regretted that because it took me years to finally beat. And I will never play like Nocturne on hard. Forget that. That's just out. I'm not doing that.
I played like 10 minutes of Nocturne, and it was like, I think I just got insta killed in the very first battle when there's nothing you could have done to prepare. There's nothing you could have bought. There's nothing you could have equipped. You just show up into this battle and then you're toast. And it was like, obviously I was supposed to lose that one. It's a story. It's a story fight. And then the game over screen came on and I turned it off.
Yeah. So Nocturne is completely unforgiving, even on normal mode. And like, I think I know what you're talking about. In the very beginning, you have to like fight these 3 battles. And if you get like an unlucky string of misses, you're screwed.
Yep.
This actually segues pretty easy well into another topic we were going to chat about then. It's like shitty games that you can... Well, is Nocturne a shitty game? Sorry,
no, Nocturne's a great game, but I know what you're
sounds
saying.
terrible if you're just going to be, died, if you're just going to be killed cheaply.
Has
and then...
anyone finished this game?
I
Rumor
have.
has it someone might have.
I beat it. It was hard.
Do we want to take a break before the next segment?
Yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be back.
All right. We'll be right back.
And we're back. So we were talking about games that we know the game that we're playing is terrible, but there's one great thing about it that's keeping us going. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is Destiny. So to get some context here, I have these two friends, let's call them Elliot and Stevo, who said
you were going to use fake names. Actually, so you're calling Elliot Stevo, and
there you go.
Calling me Elliot.
So these two assholes, they were like, hey Josh, we're gonna get Destiny. You should get it and play with us. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. And so I get Destiny, and I think we played once, and they never played it again. However,
context.
We played it again, just not with you.
Yeah. Okay, no, the context for this was I had basically never played a Halo game. Only, maybe had we played Halo co-op? Maybe at some point?
Not with me.
Not before Destiny came out. And I had heard so much about how good it felt as a first-person shooter. Actually, I'd played the first one on PC, but that was with a mouse and keyboard, so not exactly the same. But I had heard Destiny was going to be Halo on PS4, and we had all just bought PS4s, and the online was so good, it was like, this is perfect. We'll all jump into this and play it.
Pre-Rocket League.
Yeah, pre-Rocket League, exactly. What I did not realize was the game was going to be boring as hell. You're gonna. I remember logging in and playing it one Sunday afternoon with Josh, and we were running like what did you call the routes when you're just picking up things and killing the same enemies and then doing the same route over and over and over again.
I think that's called Purgatory.
Yes, oh my, it was awful. Josh, I don't get it. Come on. And I know it's a great game. I know people have explained what's amazing about Destiny, but why would you want to play the same thing over and over and over?
So this actually goes back a little bit to I don't know, it was like episode 1 or something where we talked about mindlessness. Some of the stuff you do in the game is just completely mindless. The grinding for quests, you're trying to get armor drops and things like that to make your character better. Some of that was just mindless enough that I could just kind of go on autopilot and play the game.
But how is that fun? I want to play a game because I want immediate satisfaction. Doom is immediate satisfaction. You kill an enemy in a certain way, and then you spot the other one, and you're like, oh, he's next. You're thinking as you're doing it.
But that's what I'm getting at. So Destiny's minute-to-minute gameplay is amazing. The guns feel great. Actually fighting things feels great.
It does.
Generally,
it's
anytime
anytime
you're in a gunfight, it's entertaining to me.
Yeah.
Now the problems come in though is that the overarching game is just this veneer that's just allowing you to have this minute-to-minute gameplay. You fight like the same 3 types of enemies the entire goddamn game. All the strikes you do are basically the same. It's run from A to B, fight a few waves of enemies, run to the last part of the level, fight another million waves of enemies.
It's basically a looping demo with a different background each time.
Yeah. And
it's an on-rails shooter.
Yeah. But like, so I got to the point where my character was high enough level and some of the people on like NeoGAF were doing the raids, and the raids were actually fun, but buggy as hell, but fun. Because there were some difficult encounters in there where you actually had to have some sort of strategy going in. I
mean, it's a first-person World of Warcraft. Like it's the way you play it, the way you get better at it, the way you get stronger, you build up your character. It's that same mentality, and it requires that kind of commitment to enjoy it.
Well,
not
right,
even
and it got
good
to
at
the point. It got to the point where I was sitting there trying to do the Nightfall, which is like the weekly strike you can do, and you have to beat it without dying, with other people. And I'd be like setting aside time to go do that, which I never do for games.
You put it in your calendar.
Yeah, basically, and I never do that. And I played the first expansion, which was the Dawn of Crota or something like that. I don't know. It had the second raid in there. And I did that a bunch, but after that I stopped playing. I didn't play the Taken King. I didn't play the other expansions.
But Josh,
no.
The Taken King is what makes it the real game you thought you were getting.
I'm
oh,
good.
No. Now Rise of Iron is the one that makes it.
Rise of Iron,
the game you thought was good. Actually, Destiny 2 is the game that you thought you were getting.
I had that just moment where I was like, you know what? I've had my fun. I'm done. I don't need to go back.
For me, it's this idea that a game is not a game; it's a job. World of Warcraft and Destiny, but I guess I understand that if you have a good crew playing it, then you're chatting to them. It's really about spending time with the people that you're playing with. You're shooting the shit.
If only we had
having
other people to play with.
I know. If only I had two people that I knew owned the game that could have played with me, maybe it would have been a lot more fun.
How big are the fire teams in that? Aren't they 3-person fire
There's
teams?
3-person teams and there's 6-person ones for the raids. So yes.
Terrible.
Assholes.
I just need something with a narrative. I need something with a story. Like, I need something with compelling characters. Destiny had none of those things.
No, it didn't. The story was shit. The characters were shit. The quest design was shit. But shooting the guns at things and killing them felt really, really good.
So good, yeah.
But
I mean, and even when you play with the group, like, I had fun, even though it was mindless, even though it was stupid. I played the alpha with my cousin and his buddies, and it was just like, I think in 2 hours must have gone by, and it felt like 10 minutes because it was so enjoyable. And
I enjoyed the alpha and the beta playing with you guys, but you would then have tried to play with your cousin a month after it came out, and you wouldn't have been able to play with him. And when we tried to play with Josh, it was us watching Josh shoot all these enemies that were like way higher level than us. There's no joy in that. Bad enough that it was an on-rails shooter, or that we were going over the same, areas over and over. But if we're just watching someone else kill the enemies, then I don't know. That's
I'm
just
trying
not
to think, Steve. I'm trying
you have to start
together.
together and stay together the whole way through. Otherwise,
True. And at that point, it's a job.
Steve, I'm trying to figure something out with you. You're always bitching about like RPGs and their story and stuff like that, but then you talk about not wanting to read and you want to play something like Doom where you just shoot things. Which is it?
So I would say but this, like I've come from BioWare, being my favorite developer, and games, Western RPGs as opposed to JRPGs.
Do you know how much text is in Knights of the Old Republic and
I
games
know,
like that? Though?
I loved it because I was so drawn in by the world and because I was so drawn in by the characters. But since then, I've played so many games that have just been gameplay focused. I got a NES Classic, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I've played Mega Man 2. I'm not sure I ever need story again.
Actually, so then
what
would you consider to be the aspect of the game that you think is the most important? Like, what could Destiny fix that would make it enjoyable for you, but in a more like global sense, like for any game, what needs to be there?
I think I don't think I could ever play an MMO. I don't think I could ever play Destiny. That kind of game for me, first-person shooters, it's just hardwired in my head that there has to be a start, a middle, and an end, And I have to start off with certain guns or certain skills. I have to build them up. There can be a story around that. It's great if there is, But there doesn't have to be Doom. I flew through it just because it felt so fun, I'd prefer if there was a story. I will play any kind of genre if I've heard that the story is good enough, if I've heard that the story is worth giving a chance, People give walking simulators a bad name. I loved Gone Home. I loved Firewatch. Those characters, were so... They were so real,
I'm meaning to play Firewatch. I forgot about that one.
It's got mixed reviews, but for me, the interaction of the two characters in it is just so natural, and the voice acting is so good that that totally convinced me.
Well, I'm
really
with you on
enjoyed it.
Gone Home. I played Gone Home and really enjoyed it. But yeah, you don't actually really do anything in the game. You're just walking from point A to point B to trigger the next bit of the story.
Yeah, so to say Destiny, you don't do much, and I love Gone Home, I realize that's hypocritical. But again, it's about Gone Home as a one-time playthrough thing. It's quite short. Destiny, I don't want to sign up to play it every night of my life for the rest of my life and not feel like I'm getting anywhere, you know? It's
So would you say the game needs a story or a structure or a sense of progression, meaningful, like...
I think he needs direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the one thing that I find hard with the JRPGs, that feeling that I don't know where I'm going, and so my time is being wasted. You know, more and more with work and relationships, and, you know, there's so much less time for playing games that you want to feel like you're getting as much out of it as you can. So if I'm wandering around Final Fantasy VII, you know, and I'm only like a couple of hours into it and I don't know where I'm going because I don't realize that one of the backgrounds is painted in a way where you can walk up a certain slope.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I have time in my life for that, you know, even though I know it's got a great story and the first half of it that I played or whatever was really good, you know, I am going to get frustrated and lose interest, you know?
Well, while you're talking about JRPGs, there's another one that I got really close to beating it back when it first came out, called Legend of Legaia. And it's not a great game, but like the combat system's like this fighting game system where you input up, down, left, and right. And like, depending on how you have like a bar at the bottom of the screen that lets you see how many inputs you can put in. And as you get stronger, you can input more.
Are you doing like Hadoukens? Like, are you rotating and hitting a punch button?
No, well, I mean,
what do you mean it's fighting you?
You can, but you can also just put in the discrete 4 directions. That's really all it is. So, I mean, if you roll your thumb, you're just going to get down and right. So, and you have special moves that are tied to whatever certain button combinations. And that's how you fight. And there's also magic and things like that in the game. But that's kind of what kept me going. And the fact that the game was really difficult. It was like this game that was just staring at me in the face saying, you can't beat me. And I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch, I got you. I'm going to get you. And so finally, I finally did beat it. It was hard. But it was.
So, would you say for you the aspect you need is difficulty?
I need it to
be taunted.
I need it to be challenging. There's difference between challenging and, you know, just mind-numbingly hard. You know, challenging to me means that you can beat it based on skill and preparation. Difficulty to me means that the only difference is the reason why it's hard is because we artificially inflated a stat or something. You know, it's so if the reason why you're losing is because you weren't prepared or you just don't understand how the skills you have at your disposal work, then that's challenge. But if you're losing because you're plinking away doing 1 damage at a time, and that's just the way it works rather than there's something else you could be doing, that's not fun.
So that's what happened to me in Vagrant Story. I don't know.
Me
if
too.
you finished that one.
No, I can't. I get to like.
What is Vagrant Story? I feel like I've heard that name.
It's a Squaresoft RPG.
Squaresoft.
They came out for PS1, and it was during their golden age when they came out with like everything they came out with was amazing. And
what else was around then? Final Fantasy VII? You said PlayStation 1, did you?
Probably around 8. Probably it was before 8, like Secret of Mana, Threads of Fate, Brave Fencer Musashi.
You mean Legend of Mana?
Legend of Mana?
Secret of Mana was Super Nintendo.
No, Secret of Mana was Super Nintendo. Legend of Mana was PlayStation.
Yeah, I know. You said Secret.
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Yeah.
I meant Legend. And I think actually like Legaia came out around then. Like all these RPGs were coming out at the same time. Anyway, Vagrant Story was it stood out because of the art style, and it's got the same art style as Final Fantasy XII. It's got the same, like, I think was it the same team or the same guy?
Yeah,
worked on both of them.
Yes,
and
it's all set in the same world, kind of.
They went back and said that about Vagrant Story, that actually this is the same world as Final Fantasy XII, but like way in the distant future, like way after Final Fantasy XII, I think. But Vagrant Story has a really interesting battle system where you can craft weapons and you also attack specific parts of each enemy's body. And you can get through it. I was getting through it up to a point, and then eventually, no matter what combination I tried, and I spent hours, everything just took off one damage. And I could play it enough to like dodge the enemy's attacks and not get hit. So I could have just played the rest of the game doing 1 damage.
Yeah, it would have been frustrating and painful.
Completely insane.
Same thing happened to me.
Rolling the boulder up the hill over and over again. And if I just had to stop. And, I tried a new weapon. I backtracked to find new weapon parts to make new weapons and combine different weapons. I looked at FAQs online and there was just nothing that worked. And apparently that's just part of the difficulty. People do overcome that and finish the game, and that's part of the enjoyment of it. But
so I tried it way back when, and I ran into the same problem. And then I tried it again later when I think I was able to download it on my Vita or something. I don't know. And the same thing happened. And so I read a FAQ and it said, there's a training dummy that you can attack like infinitely to level up your weapons. And I'm sitting there going like, I don't like having to grind to progress. Like if it's a small bit of grinding, okay, like maybe I'm a level behind or something. Okay, that's fine. But if it's by design that this is the way this is supposed to work, like I don't like if I'm fighting these guys, but I only have a beast weapon or whatever the heck the different statistics were on the weapons. I don't have the right type of weapon to fight this enemy.
For the type of enemy.
So like if I've never found a weapon that's supposed to be useful against these guys and therefore have not leveled it up at all, then I'm only going to be doing like 1 damage. So I'd have to go train that damn weapon. And it was just a feedback loop that I was not excited about. And which is annoying because a lot of people I talk about too love this game and must have figured out something. Either that or they punished themselves and got through it. I don't get it.
I love it except for that part. Like it pains me that I haven't been able to finish it because it's so interesting. The story is the presentation of the story is for that age on that system is better than anything I've seen. Like it's definitely is something that I would love to beat at some point and actually finish and see through. I just don't know how. The systems are so obtuse that it's just not. It's not. And every now and then I'm like, I'll start it over. I'll try it again. I can get it this time. And it just never happens. But Steve-O, maybe you've got the magic touch. Backlog roulette. It's not in your backlog. Damn.
Well, okay. So for Elliot, difficulty. For me, aimlessness. What about you then, Josh? What is guaranteed to put you off the game?
For me,
Josh was difficulty.
For me, it's like having a challenge.
Artificial difficulty.
Wait, putting us off?
Yep.
Oh yeah, artificial difficulty. No way.
But like Elliot will get frustrated with the game because it's too difficult and he feels like he can't beat a section and it's just the console's going off. And I feel like if I'm wandering around aimlessly, not knowing where I'm going, then I'm gonna get pissed off and move on. What about you, Josh? Like, what is your thing? Is there something about a game that could just irk you enough that there's no way you're gonna keep playing it? Or do you just have that motivation, that single focus, which you seem to?
It depends. It's if I'm not having fun is the primary thing. And,
that's a bit vague,
and one of the things that I find fun is having a challenge. So this does kind of tie in what Elliot's talking about, the artificial with difficulty. If difficulty is artificial or like the systems are so obtuse that I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to be doing, and and even after looking it up, I still can't figure out what the hell I'm supposed to be doing, then I have issues, and I'm just like, I'm angry that it's not. I'm angry that I'm not making progress in something that I feel like I would enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's. Yeah,
and I suppose because you're so used to being able to beat games, get through them quickly.
Yeah, I think for me, it's similar to what you were saying, Steve-O, in that I just don't want my time wasted. I don't want to, that's why I couldn't finish Demon Souls, because I'd play it for an hour and then ultimately end up where I was before I started. And it was like, that was a Saturday afternoon. It's sunny outside. Why the hell did I do this? And you get mad at yourself and you get mad at the game. And
Shame.
I can't.
I had to completely rewire my brain to get through Dark Souls. It was so unlike anything I'd ever played before. The idea of replaying the same section of a map over and over and over again. Okay, there's going to be a guy here, there's going to be an enemy there's going to be someone hiding behind this corner, and just replaying it, getting a little stronger, and then getting to a boss and getting your ass handed to you, and then having to go back to the start of the level that you had been fighting for hours at a time, only to know that you're probably not going to do much better on your second try against that boss.
So that I'll admit, when I first played Demon Souls, I was like, this is fucking stupid. Why are enemies killing me in 2 hits? Why are there a million enemies? How come I'm dying on everything? And so I played it for like a day, and I was like, screw it. I'll put that in the pile. I don't know why the hell I bought this piece of trash. But then it wasn't until like a couple years later where I started reading about people playing it, and I was like, you know what? Let me give it another go. Maybe I'm approaching this the wrong way. And it also goes, this kind of also ties back into me getting that sense of satisfaction for beating something that's challenging. It wasn't artificially difficult. It was a matter of the way you approach it and your tactics that you use at any given moment. And getting past something that's challenging like that feels great to me.
So speaking of difficulty, I'm thinking when you do your backlog, just building off my point of not wanting my time wasted, I like to do things as quickly as possible to get through, because I don't want my time wasted. And I also said I do appreciate sometimes hard difficulty now and then if it's a game I want to take my time with. But if I'm burning through my backlog, if I'm trying to get things off, I'll tend to try to play easier, try to play quicker. Is that cheap? Is that akin to putting in a cheat code? Am I not playing a game right?
No way. It depends on the game that you're playing. If it's something for story, that's totally fine.
I mean, myself personally, I would never put it below normal mode. I'm probably never going to play a game on easy. But playing on normal, let's go for it. That's fine.
I've never gone below normal, but with some of these like I'm playing Last of Us, and it's not going that quickly because it's a difficult game and it's terrifying. You just
need the Steve-O and Josh bootcamp. Come on, we're getting on Twitch straight after this. Get your ass in gear.
But should I switch that to easy mode for the sake of the backlog, for the sake of just getting it done, moving on with my life, and I spend less time per game. I get more out of each game. I enjoy everything more. But then at the back of my head, I'm like, did I really play it?
No, despite
I cheated.
Despite giving you abuse, I say play through The Last of Us on whatever level you want, because
I prefer normal, because at the same time I want to get my money's worth. I don't want to just blitz through a game and be like, why did I spend $60 for that? I want to, like, the difficulty what I've learned in the last few years is that's part of the utility you get out of buying a game.
I think it just boils down to, are you having fun?
Yep, you're right. And I often am until I feel like I'm having my time wasted, or I feel like and then I guess you just stop playing then.
Yeah, I mean, I think but then part of it also comes down, I think, to is how stubborn you are. Like, if I'm like with The Last of Us, there were a couple encounters where the first time I played through, I probably died like 30 times, but I was like, I'm going to beat this goddamn thing. It's driving me crazy. I know I can do this. What the hell is going on? And eventually I did. And again, I've said this a million times already, but that feeling right there is like, that's why I play games.
Well, it's funny, Elliot talks about the idea of getting your money's worth, because so much that we hear about in the press or on forums or everything is, this is going to be a 40-hour experience or 60 hours worth of content. And I hear all these words and I think, oh, why? Who developed this game that they're willing to quantify their piece of art in terms of hours, in terms of how many hours it takes? It just goes against...
It used to be that way. Like, that was way back PS1 days. That was a bragging point for games company. You'd see it all the time.
I know,
over
but
50 hours, over 80 hours.
For me, we should be past that.
Well, now
games are accepted as art. We've had things like Uncharted. We've had things like The Last of Us. We've had things like Gone Home, which have taught us these things can tell us stories like no other medium can.
I don't think it's a matter of art though. I mean, part of it is, one, it gives me that sense of, it's not that it turns me off or turns me on, either way. So much as like, yeah, that was phrased poorly, but if I see 80 hours on a game, that's just giving me an idea of how long it's going to take. It's not saying this is going to be bad or this is going to be good. It
isn't even that for me. I think they're advertising to say that. I think they're overestimating how long it's going to take. When I see 80 hours, they're like, oh, I could probably finish this in like 40 or 30.
Well, right. And there's other metrics they use too, like Star Ocean 2. I remember when I got that game for PSX, they had one of the back things like over 80 different endings or something. And all it was like, it's the same ending, except this guy does something different. This guy does something different. Yeah.
Let me give you
what you named. Sorry. Go ahead.
Let me give you two examples, the recent examples. Horizon is one. Horizon is meant to have a really good story. And from what I can tell, the characters are pretty cool, and I've enjoyed the story for the first, 5 or 10 hours or whatever I've played of it so far. Maybe not even that much. Maybe 5 or 8. And it could stand on its own as just a good story, even if it was more linear. Like the idea of things having to be open world and then you having to fill it with content, which effectively means fetch quests or, such. But it depresses me. I just want the good story parts. And in fairness to Horizon, the side quests have some compelling characters, and they can be still interesting and still fun to do. But lots of open worlds aren't like that, and lots of those open worlds still sell themselves on this idea of so much content. And I just want to be in a place where people want to give me a really fun, concise 8-hour, 10-hour experience. Here's a story for you. The controls are fantastic. It's perfectly polished. Graphics are good. Voice acting is good. I want people to give me that. I don't want people to give me an area to go explore for 100 hours. It's like, that's not fun. Curate something for me. Make it great.
Yeah. You need a single player story that starts and ends with a reasonable amount of time, and then you can fill it with all the side content. Make the game good enough that I want to stick around and keep playing. Like
Tomb Raider games, for example.
Breath of the Wild.
If you take like Skyrim, if you just did the main quest in Skyrim, 10, maybe 12 hours, something like that.
Really?
Not very long. I mean, I'm just picking a number out of the hat, but it's not long. But there's so much else to do in the game.
Skyrim is actually the closest to Zelda, I would say, in terms of the map is so vague, and it doesn't it doesn't give you an Ubi map, where it says, here is this thing, here is this thing, go here to do a fetch quest, go here to do target practice. Skyrim, the map was much more vague, and you could just wander in a direction, similar to how it's done in Zelda, and that's much more interesting. It's much more mysterious, and I much prefer that.
Yeah, even like the latest Mario games, I love the way they do it, because the first 8 worlds or whatever is the traditional number you get in Mario games will get you to the credits, and you could be done if you want. But if you fire the game back up and load your save file, there is another 8 worlds. It doubles the amount of content in the game, and they're much, much more difficult. And you can go back and collect, all the red coins. You can go back and collect all the stars. You can go back and unlock a million different things afterwards, or you don't. You could just be like, I got to the credits. That's pretty much the end of the game.
Everything. Are you thinking of 3D World or what ones?
3D World, Galaxy to an extent. Actually, I think Galaxy did it pretty much all the way. 3D World, 3D Land, and there's no hard, medium, easy. It's just, if you want easy, you just stop after you get to the credits. If you want medium, then you get to the next section. If you want hard, then you go to like the super hard Star World, and you try to collect all the items and all the stamps. And it's as long as you want it to be. It's as hard as you want it to be. But you can still have the satisfaction of having finished it if you don't want to put in all those time.
You're right. That's the best of both worlds.
And it gives me this like overwhelming sense of completionism where I have to do everything in there. good and bad, I guess. But like I obsess over it until I have everything and I've done everything in there, because it's just like it taunts you, like it just kind of dangles it in front of you to encourage you to do it. But the game is just so good, you want to keep playing. Otherwise, platformers are so finite and so short. To have a kind of, I don't want to say they're open world, but to have that quality in that sort of game is refreshing, and I really enjoyed it. All right, do we want to wrap it up then?
Probably bedtime.
Sounds good. We are on the web at ratherbycast.com. You can drop us a line there. You can shoot us emails if you have any questions you want us to read online and discuss. It'll be questions at ratherbycast.com. You can reach out to any one of us on email, Josh, Elliot, or Stevo at ratherbycast.com. We're on Twitter at RBPcast. And then we all have our own Twitters, at RBPJosh, at RBPElliot, at RBPStevo. We're at Twitch on twitch.tv/ratherbyplaying. We have a YouTube channel where you can see our Twitch live streams uploaded after they're done. We also put our episodes up on there so you can have a listen to the podcast as well.
Is anyone planning on playing anything on Twitch?
I'm going to keep playing Last of Us. I think Josh is going to be streaming Doom a little more. Pretty much all the games that we should be playing. And then...
Remember, we're in the future. We've already done this.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Oh, shoot. That's right. We can't advertise.
I'm going to be playing insert thing here later.
Actually, did you guys check out my Last of Us stream? How crazy was that? We had so much fun.
When you finally beat it.
Yeah.
I know.
Now the pressure is on.
I heard Amy in the background crying about having to wash all your pants. It was terrible.
What else do we have? Facebook.com/ratherbyplaying. We're on SoundCloud. And then wherever podcasts are found. Pretty much. So that's a mouthful. We really need to shrink that down. I don't think half the people,
just direct people to the
95% of the people will give a shit about most of these.
True.
It's just
website and Twitter.
Just do the website, and then you can Google us on Twitter. And actually, all you need is the website. Our Twitters are all on the website. Our emails are whatever.
Website and Twitch.
Yeah.
Do you want to just redo it?
No. This is it. We're publishing this one.
Screw it, we'll do it live.
You know what's funny though is that this was a bad trial, and then we'll perfect it on the next episode, which actually comes before this one. So it'll look like we're devolving slowly. Or at least I am, because I'm the one that does this. So that'll be it. And play your games, because they're not going to play themselves.
All right, see you guys later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.